Hey, Tom Rabbit! I hope you got this for your recording. Hey, YouTube out there. Tom Rabbit likes to record these. Hey, Tom Rabbit! No
Yes, Darth.
identifiable defensible foundation for your propositions.
Correct. All right,
We're
you're
done.
right.
We're
Hold on.
done. There's
Could
nothing more
I
to
can't
be
ask you a
said.
question?
You can momentarily, but
Okay.
what you have now conceded to, that your
Yes.
critique and attack of the God of the Bible is fallacious.
Yes, you win, Darth. Now can I ask
No,
you
I don't win. God wins.
Yes, God wins,
God
Darth.
comes out, but you look like a fool.
Right, no, I told you, I bite the bullet. Now could you tell me what justification you have? Because I'm curious, because you asked me, I
Okay.
wanted to know what yours is.
Very good question. The justification for anything is ultimately going to depend on the mind of God and his creative activities, of which we can refer to as revelatory actions, without
Interesting.
which, listen carefully, this is very precisely worded. Okay. And the reason why I precisely word it this way is not to be fancy, but because it cannot be refuted. We can only know anything and everything because it has its origin in the mind of God. It is then executed in God's creative actions, which are revelatory actions. Everything that God creates that we come into contact with is revelatory of God. So that when you look at the grass blowing in the wind, or you look at the moon, or you study anything, your fingernails, or chemistry, or physics, all of these are God's creative actions and are consequently revelatory of God. So we can only know anything at all, whether it's that God is a Trinity or that my fingernails need cutting, because of God's revelation.
Right.
Independently of God's revelatory actions, okay, I say revelatory actions as to distinguish it, for example, like God audibly speaking to Moses, or him incarnating himself in the person of Jesus Christ, okay? Independent of God's revelatory actions, nothing can be known.
So, how do you know that your revelation is true, Darth?
How do I know?
Yeah,
It's because God in his sovereignty and providence, through the course of human history, his redemptive plan of history, he has made me to know through his omnipotence and plan of history.
Well, right. So
Okay, do you accept that? Well, listen to me. Do you accept that?
Well, I don't think you understood my question, so I was going to rephrase it.
You asked me how I know it. It is through the chain of events that God has sovereignly implemented to make me and other people know certain things that without his providential plan, nothing could be known.
Right. I think that's begging the question because I wasn't specific.
No, it's not begging. No, it's not begging the question.
Well, I want to.
What if I said? Hold on a second. What if you said to me, how do you know what year your dad got his driver's license?
Well,
Okay?
that's relevant to what I'm talking about.
No, it is relevant. I'm trying to explain to you something.
Well,
Okay? You ask me, how do I know? Okay, if you were to say to me, how do you know X? Okay? And I say to you, it has to be through God's creative actions and providence.
Right, that's what I was asking.
How? Okay? Now, what I'm saying to you is, that's not one way. It is the only way, ultimately, through a chain of events, that we can come to know anything. And if that is rejected, my position is that nothing can be known outside of God's providence and revelatory actions.
Right, I understand your position, Darth. So when I ask how, like when I say revelation, I'm saying the revelation of God. So how do you know the revelation God has given you to tell you that he exists? How do you know that that's true? How do you know God exists? And you'll say revelation. I'll ask how you know that revelation of him exists.
Yeah, his providence has done it in such a way.
It's actually an irrational question because you're asking for some justification beyond God. Right?
Yeah. You're saying
it's actually irrational. You're demanding irrationality.
It's a veiled question.
Huh.
Okay. All right. So, for example, I know it because If I reject that I know it that way, it results in catastrophic and complete absurdity where nothing could be known. So, for example, if I look
Okay.
at grass, listen, if I look at grass blowing in the wind, okay,
Mm-hmm.
on my front lawn, the grass is blowing, the leaves are moving, okay, it doesn't matter what example I give, right? I'm going to give you a true dichotomy.
Okay.
Either every event that you experience when you look at the moon on a cloud free night or the sun in the afternoon, whatever it is, either each and every single one of these events are the product of God's revelatory actions or not.
Okay.
Okay, now, if they are the product of God's revelatory actions, then they can be real and intelligible.
All right.
But if you reject that, okay, that it's not the product of God's revelatory action, then there's no rhyme or reason what anything is or means because there
Okay.
is no ultimate reference point. So, in order for me to know when I look at my fingernails that they're too long, they need cutting,
Yeah.
or the grass blowing in the wind,
Right.
if these states of affairs, what they actually are and mean, and they I come into contact with them, if it didn't start in the mind of God as a part of his plan and it's executed, then they mean nothing. So when you
how do you know
look
that?
up, because I just gave you the true dichotomy, because something only means something because of the ultimate reference point,
Well,
which
okay.
is
What
the
if it means
mind.
nothing?
Let me. Well, that's not a position that you hold to.
I'm asking you how you know it doesn't mean nothing. Like you presented
Why?
the true dichotomy, and
Because
that's fine.
God has constructed our minds, okay, in such a way that only somebody who is insane, okay, or extremely sinful would say nothing means anything, but then neither would that statement.
Well,
The only option, listen to me, there's two options.
uh-huh.
You can either choose to be sane or insane, okay? If you say, if you're not claiming to be insane, because if you say nothing means anything, then neither is that statement.
Okay.
It would be absurdity. So the reason why I know everything is revelatory of God is because it's either it's revelatory of God or we are left in complete absurdity.
Okay.
Do you know what a reductio ad absurdum is?
Yeah, yeah. If you watch Tom Rabbit's video of me and you talking, I
Yeah,
did that to you.
yeah. No, actually, no, you didn't. You've never defeated me. What you do is you're a smart ass, arrogant 18-year-old teenager. I don't even believe you're
Probably.
18. I think you're lying. Okay. But
You haven't
you're
seen
a
what I've heard.
sniveling little teenager who
All right,
debates
Darth,
and
calm
argues
down.
like you're at the cafeteria table. Would we mute that little sunshine, please? Okay.
Turned 18
And,
6
and by
days
the way,
ago, Darth.
yeah, well, maybe you have the mind of a 14-year-old, but the body of
Maybe.
an 18-year-old. Then explain
Maybe.
to me then why you don't debate and argue in all of the previous conversations we've had. Explain to me why you don't debate like a young man.
Why I don't debate like a young man?
No, you don't. You debate like a sniveling little teenager at a cafeteria table in 11th grade.
Okay. Well, what could I?
Because you like to play the contrarian. So here's the bottom line. I explained to you how I know something. It is through the providence and revelation of God. And if you don't accept that, you are left in absurdity. Now, I want to ask you something, okay? Can you know something without there being an identifiable and defensible ultimate reference point?
I think so.
Good. Tell me something you know without an ultimate reference point.
I exist.
Okay, so when you say I exist, okay,
Uh-huh.
you are claiming individuation. What metaphysically in your worldview provides for your individuation and differentiating from anything else?
Well, I could just be everything, so I don't have to
No, no,
determine.
no.
No, because you said
See,
I.
this is
Yeah,
why I have
that the I is
this
still
is what
everything
this is
then.
why listen to me. This is why I
That's
have
not what you
listen.
meant
This is
by it.
why I have such contempt for you. Listen to me carefully. This is why I have such contempt for you.
Uh-huh.
is because you bullshit, okay? I
Sure.
want to know. I don't want you to say, "Well, it could be." Listen to me. I don't
Okay.
want to hear it could be, it might be, it seems. I want to know what is, okay? Now,
Right.
when you say I exist,
Mhm.
okay? Are you absolute, ultimate and eternal?
No, well, you
Okay,
don't want me to
so
say maybe, but
is
maybe.
okay, when you say is I eternal and unconditionally non-dependent and derivative?
No.
Okay, so whatever the I constitutes, okay,
Uh-huh.
it cannot be intelligible unless it is with respect to its origin of
Okay.
why it exists.
Okay.
Number two, you're claiming individuation.
Sure.
Okay. So how do you know that you possess individuation, but you don't even know what the I is
I know
because
what the I is.
there's no. Listen to me carefully. If something only is what it is, right? If it is not eternal and ultimate, by virtue of what is ultimate.
I
Otherwise,
don't think so.
okay. Well, here's where you're ignorant now. Okay. Do you know what a brute fact is?
Sure. Yeah.
What is it?
A brute fact? Yeah, I exist as a brute fact.
What is a brute fact?
I exist.
No.
I'm
I'm
asking you for an
asking for the
example, big
definition.
brain.
Yeah, I didn't ask you for an example. I asked you for a definition.
I don't have the definition of what a brute
Okay,
fact is
so you
on
don't know
hand.
what the fuck you're
Well,
talking
I
about,
mean,
do you?
I could give you like
Okay,
a
we're
subjective
done. Listen, listen.
definition if you
Little
want.
little 14 listen, little
You want a brute?
14-year-old boy. Listen, little 14-year-old boy who
Okay.
just had your 18th birthday, go argue with some other teenagers
Sure.
because a man of my age who's more than 3 times your age
It's a fact
doesn't
that
put
can't be
up with.
explained,
Okay,
by
all
the
right,
way.
mute his dumb
Yeah.
ass, okay?
Alright, Darth,
Yeah,
fuck you too.
you're full of crap. All you are is a little argumentative little punk. And if people in here are new and just think I'm flying off the handle, let it be known I have dealt with him on at least a dozen occasions. And every encounter, he is deceitful, he's deceptive, he's argumentative. It's not that he stands his ground and debates his worldview. He's just deceitful. He flips, he flops. Okay? How can he possibly know what the I is when he says I exist, when he doesn't know what provides for what the I is?
Well, he doesn't
Okay?
know it. He admitted that
In
it's
other
a brute
words,
fact.
the I is a brute fact because there's no rhyme or reason as to why or what the I is. Okay? He didn't say the I is I am God, I am eternal, I am unconditionally non-dependent, and I am the creator of everything that is not myself. He didn't claim that. So therefore, the I cannot explain itself because the I is derivative. But he doesn't know what fundamentally the I ultimately comes from and what makes the I continue into existence. So what he has is an uninterpreted fact. And an uninterpreted fact is no fact at all. It doesn't mean anything because there is no context for that fact. The only fact that can be a fact without context is what is ultimate and absolute, the source of all possibility, and that is God.
Well, it would be its own context. You mean external context?
No, I'm saying is the only fact that doesn't require an external context would be God, because God is ultimate, he's eternal, he's without beginning, and he's unconditionally non dependent. He's self contained. Everything else cannot be invoked, existing, and its intelligibility in and of itself. But you see, he doesn't care. He's just an argumentative little 14-year-old trapped in an 18-year-old's body. And for those of you who are new in here, I get angry with little scumbags like that because he knows he's pulling my chain all along. And he's giggling to himself that he knows he's lying and making up crap about his Google document. He was lying. Oh, I got to find my Google. You mean he's going to stand up here and debate like a man, and yet he can't tell me how or why he arrived in just a basic sentence or two at the uniformity of nature? He goes, "Oh, it's on my Google Doc." Does anybody believe that?
Yeah.
I get agitated when people start lying to me. He is a deceitful. I mean, I remember when I was that age. I can't imagine being deceitful like this. I never met such deceitful people in my entire life until I got on the internet in forums like this. And it blows my mind to this day of how deceitful these people are. And they're what's the word I'm looking for? They are shameless about it. They think it's a badge of honor to be deceptive in conversation. They're like the flat earthers. He wants to sit there and say, your God is the God of the Bible is a murderer. He's a murderer. Well, why don't you really speak the truth and just go, I don't like your God because he doesn't let people just live and live and live and live. I don't like your God. No, because it sounds more palatable to say your God is immoral.
Is my mic working?
Yes.
Okay. It sounds like he's making a serious objection, right? Like it's actually not just a clown statement.
Your God is guilty of a moral infraction. But what he means by immoral is I don't like that. Who cares if you don't like it?
This is one of the major justifications which they use to reject the God of the Bible. Whining about slavery and that he drowned babies and that he's a moral monster. You hear that kind of justification all the time.
Simply say to Trick, you are immoral for criticizing God. You're immoral. Well, why? I don't like it, so you're immoral, right?
Well,
That's his standard.
I wish you'd stuck on it for a little longer because he was also, when he calls God a murderer, he's also because he just doesn't like it. It's just arbitrary. He's just arbitrarily saying it. He doesn't have a standard or a reason.
Do you remember what his first line of reasoning was? Anyone? Bueller? What was his first line of reasoning as to what a bad boy God is or was? He says murder is wrong because society doesn't like it.
Yeah, he never explained to us how all morality is subjective either. He kind of slipped off. He actually just restated the claim, right? He said that there is no all morality comes from society. You asked him how he knows that, and then he said because all morality is subjective, and he never got. That's just a restatement, right?
Yeah, look, he's just a train wreck of an 18-year-old who has by practice just learned how to be deceitful and argumentative rather than actually debate like an adult.
The fact is that atheists, they have to borrow from the Christian worldview in order to say that God is immoral. Because in their worldview, there cannot be good and bad. There cannot be moral and immoral because the universe doesn't care about our lives.
When I went up against the various PhD atheists the last couple of months in the AMAs, many of them, because they had professional reputations to protect, they didn't resort to the kind of sniveling adolescent deceit and deviousness that we find so common on Discord. But rather what they did to be is just to simply throw me under the bus and just get rid of me, rather than lie, because if they truthfully answer the question, it's going to put them in a bind. And they were not trick questions. But you see, scumbags like that punk and other atheists, both young and old alike, will come onto Discord and they will just lie about what they believe. They'll split hairs, they'll obfuscate, they'll prevaricate, they'll misdirect, they'll rabbit trail. So he says, God is a murderer. Okay, well, why don't you just tell us what you really believe? I don't like what God does. Who cares? Who cares if you don't like what God did? Who cares?
Darth, why do you have to excuse yourself, in front of these people while you muted?
Yeah, I can barely understand you.
Yeah, I'm asking you, why do you have to excuse yourself for what you did to these people?
What are you talking about?
You decided to mute him, right? And then you started talking shit about him. Yes?
Yeah, I did.
Right. And isn't that a sign of a coward?
No.
How come?
Do you think it is?
I know it is. I mean, only a
Why would
coward
I?
would make
Excuse me. Hold on a
his
second.
interlocutors, shut up, right? Mute him, and then talk shit about him without him having the ability to defend himself.
Oh, so I muted somebody who was just simply my interlocutor.
Yes, he was interlocuting with you, and
Okay,
you
okay,
lacked.
okay. Hold
I'm
on,
sorry,
hold on,
you
hold on
had
a
the
sec. Hold on,
ability
hold
to
on,
persuade
hold
him, and then
on.
you went like a fucking
Hold
crazy person.
on, hold on. Okay, no, I wasn't crazy at all. I believe I was righteously indignant for his persistent deceit. Now, have you been present in the listening audience in the a dozen or so interactions that I've had with him?
No,
Is this the first time you've seen me interact with him?
I saw the interaction, and you were unwarranted.
Okay,
Calling,
that
oh,
okay.
you're lying, you're lying.
Listen to me
You went
carefully. Okay,
into fucking crazy fucking
tasteless.
mode
You
all of a
listen to
sudden.
me. You need to stop over talking me. Now, I asked you a question. Did you answer my question?
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
I bet he
I
doesn't even
said
remember what the
I
question
didn't.
was.
What was the
Yes,
question?
the question was, is this the first time you've seen me interact with him? And I said yes.
No. I said, have you been present during the dozen or so
No.
interactions I've had with him? Did you answer that question?
Yeah, I said no.
Okay. But a minute ago, you told me you answered the question.
Yes, I did. I answered no.
Okay.
I wasn't
No.
present
No,
myself
no,
to
no, no,
answer.
no. No. The words that came out of your mouth were about something else. And I
To be
said, you
fair, you
didn't
did
answer
ask
my
him two questions.
question. Okay, shut up.
I did
See,
answer your
now,
question,
okay,
and I said
tasteless. You are falling back on your old ways. Okay, I put you on the troll list because you had a good long history of trolling me. I put you on the list, and then you begged and pleaded me to take you off the troll list. Did you not?
yeah, Dart. You couldn't
Okay,
take a joke that I made
and
without you
now,
decided to
listen
mute
to
it.
me.
Come on,
No, you
that's
got
fucking.
decided to mute because you have a long prior history of trolling. And then on this room, when I'm
That's an ad
interacting with
hominem
somebody,
attack.
I'm okay. Okay, have a nice day. You've decided to go back.
I'm
Okay, you
sorry.
want to
That's an
troll.
ad
Good,
hominem
good,
attack
good.
that you're
All right,
making.
no, all right, we're done.
I'm sorry, Darth.
I love when these white knights come in to defend people who are obviously lying to pretend that they weren't lying. Oh, they were
Okay,
just good
listen,
faith.
have it your way. Tasteless. You have been an asshole in the past toward me, chronically. Then you stopped for a while. You started conducting yourself like an adult. Maybe Tom Rabbit sent you in here to do this again, and you're doing it all over again. So congratulations, you made it back on the list. Okay.
That's fine, dude. But nevertheless, listen.
Tom who?
Nobody sent me, and the idea. Listen, Dart. You are acting in a way that I disagree with. Okay, I put this forward, and then you decide to mute me, right? And then you started ad hominem attack me without you facing the real argument of the table. That is deceptive behavior on your part, right? This
There's
has
no
nothing to do with
argument.
Tom Rabbit.
There's no
This has
Would you
argument
nothing
on
guys,
to
the
do with
table.
anyone
would
else.
the moderators please mute him? Okay, because I toggled the command and it's not working. Okay.
It's you toggled it off. Toggle it back on.
Well, he became unmuted. Somebody unmuted him.
Yeah, someone should not have unmuted him. He was not an issue. Yeah,
Well,
water, don't unmute anybody in here.
Sure.
Can
Well,
we
I thought
change
that.
topic?
Yeah. So what you just saw here, okay, is Tasteless is trying to white knight for a piece of trash 18-year-old who just likes to be sleazy and deceitful, and I exposed him for the fraud that he was. Tasteless wants to come in here. He has a long prior history of trolling. He stopped for a while, so I resumed chatting with him, and I told him not to resume it. He's doing it again. He's calling me a coward when I'm simply trying to explain to other people who may be new, who are not familiar with my previous interactions with Trick, okay, of
Well, it's
what a
not.
deceitful little kid. And yet he says because I'm explaining the relationship why I got so angry with him, that I'm somehow a coward and I'm merely muting an interlocutor, when I'm not simply muting an interlocutor, I'm muting somebody who is persistently being deceitful and deceptive and has a chronic history of it. So enjoy your red duct tape on your mouth. You're not going to be speaking again in a room where I am present, Tasteless, because you wanted to go back to your old ways of being the little scumbag, little troll that you are. So enjoy your red duct tape, Tasteless. By the way, did you get that, Tom Rabbit?